Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in the presence of this new economy, a lot of things might be changing. You might want to change your environment, you might want to change your lifestyle, your habit, and things like that. And I don't need to remind anybody in Nigeria right now what the economic situation is. So today we're talking about dealing with change. The process of change can be challenging and overwhelming. It can be an experience for many people, especially when it involves significant life transitions like moving to a new school, transitioning to college or university, or dealing with challenges within the family. It can also be particularly difficult when it comes to moving to a new country. That's what we call Jakpa, especially for youth who may experience what is known as the Jakpa syndrome, a condition that affects individuals who have recently arrived in different countries and are struggling to adapt to the new culture and the new environment. And you would agree with me that in the last 1-2 years, there's been people Jakpa in every single day, if there's any word like that. But adapting to change and transitions require a great deal of mental strength and resilience. It's important to recognize that when you feel anxious, stressed, or even overwhelmed during these times of change, it is a normal part of the human experience. However, there are strategies that individuals can implement to help them cope with transitions and, of course, maintain their mental wellness. Now, that will be one of our focuses for our conversation today. Let me officially welcome you to Fafanua Africa. And, of course, I'm Blessings Mosugu, your host on the show. You don't want to miss these conversations, so stay with us. Welcome back. Now, one of the most important strategies for coping with transitions and change is to focus on self-care. Now, this includes making sure to get enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, engaging in regular physical activity. But for a lot of people, these are not enough. It's also important to make time for activities that bring joy and relaxation, whether it's spending time with loved ones, engaging in hobbies, or practicing mindfulness and meditation. But this becomes especially hard when you're not even around people that you love. And that is where Jakpa also comes in. Now, seeking support from friends, from family, or mental health professionals can also be incredibly beneficial during times of change. But not everybody wants to go to a therapist, to be honest. Now, talking about your feelings and experiences can help to alleviate some of the stress and anxiety associated with transitions. And it can also provide a sense of connection and understanding. Now, these are my own view about how you can deal with change. But we have a professional in the house, someone who will help us understand better what ways, what mechanisms can be adapted in dealing with change, whether it be change of environment, change of habit, change of anything, workplace, whatever. And I'm talking about none other than author and mental health coach, Oluwatumise Oladapo Kuku. Hello, Tumise.
Hey, Miriam. How are you?
I'm fine. I love the hair, by the way.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you.
All right. So we're talking about change, right? And a lot of things have been changing for everybody lately. And we see what's happening in the economy. So it will be unfair of me not to start off by asking, how are you doing?
Okay, so I never answer how are you with fine. And I don't allow people to answer how are you with fine either. So presently, I am transitioning, right? From a place of mental chaos to a place of accepting. So yeah, I'm transitioning and I'm living with that and trying to embrace that.
I think that's fair enough. but do you think that there are people who are willing to accept the current economic situation?
Okay, so first things first, change is crazy. Any change that you want, whether you want to start a habit or you want to, whatever thing you want to do that is different than your norm, that's change. And that will definitely unsettle you. The economy as it is, of course, is a whole narrative, is a whole story. It just didn't start with the floating of the dollars or floating of naira and all the economic policies. It started way before that. It started during the campaigning. It started during the election. So for me, it feels as if Nigerians are on a complete the pressed panic button.
Right, right. The panic button was pressed and spoiled.
And, completely, and we're still trying to get over the heartbreak of the elections. We're still trying to, there's a bit of PTSD. I swear, every Nigerian has some post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm just being facetious, sir. Please don't quote me on that being facetious, but you understand what I'm saying? And that's why you see us, angry, we're upset, a little thing upsets us and all that. And that is fair, given, what the economy is saying. But I have to bust some bubble. It is global. It is global. And because as Nigerians, we are such resilient people, and we have a generation who's not willing to be silent. We have a generation who think that things can change by policy. Newsflash, no policy is going to change anything that way. Okay, so yeah, the economy is, but we also need to approach it and respond to it as against reacting to it. I know that I read through social media and I'm like, okay, are we being facetious? Are we being, or are we really sitting down to take care of ourselves? And taking care of yourself goes beyond, it could be as simple as buying yourself a candy.
Yeah. Yeah, I told someone I gifted myself on Valentine's Day. They were like, "What? Yeah."
Oh yeah. I didn't give myself anything, but my birthday, I actually got it delivered.
I like that.
I got it delivered. I knew what I wanted. I saved for it. I got it delivered because my loved ones would give me gifts, but it probably wouldn't know the exact thing that would give me the joy.
That would make you happy at the time.
At the time, and I got myself that. So it's a question of a person responding to a situation as against reacting to it. Guess what? We were raised to react to things and not respond to things. So, yeah, that will make accepting change and leaning into change acceptable. Because we were raised to like fire. Yeah, it's okay to fight. But sometimes also okay to just lean into it and be like leaf on water, raging sea for that matter, and see where it takes you.
Right. A lot of times people don't understand that there's also resilience in adaptability.
Oh, yeah.
Resilience doesn't mean always fighting the circumstances, because the truth is there are certain things that you can't control. And we hear a lot of times where we say, God give us the grace to accept what we can't control, because you can't control everything. Let's be honest. Now, they say that change is the only constant thing. So what do you think is the reason that people are always scared of change?
Self-awareness.
Regardless of the... Okay. So that was direct.
Self-awareness. So you see, when we hear self-awareness, what we hear is how I do this. But what it is, I believe, is how you think, how you respond, how you live, not just with other people, but with yourself first. Because when you understand how you to live and respond with yourself and to yourself with and to, it'll be easy to understand that no matter what the other person does, it is not about you, it's about them.
Right.
Yeah, nothing anybody does is about you. And if we're being honest, nothing I do is about me, right? It's about the other person. We're all selfish. That's how we're created. But when you're going through change and you know that this change has come to stay, whether you like it or not, and you sit with yourself to ask yourself, what energy am I going to face this with? What strengths do I have in my kitty? What weaknesses is this? Are these changes? Okay.
Don't complicate it.
What weaknesses will they meet in me? How am I going to mitigate that? It is hard work. It is hard work to live in your head and try to relate with yourself and other people. It's hard work. But trust me, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself, for your health, not just for your mental health. Then again, mental health is not just what you're feeling here, is the unity of everything that goes with it. So self-awareness. If you're self-aware to know exactly how you will respond to a thing, again, we can't control anything, but you tell yourself, okay, it has come. You would react at first. I'm not saying you're going to be superhuman, but you will react at first. But if you get to the point and say, okay, it has come, I have reacted, what next? Yeah. Slow down and then reevaluate. Get back to your personal drawing table and like, this is how I'm going to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. What would you say are some specific coping mechanisms in navigating transition?
I'm a firm believer, this is personal to me, I'm a firm believer of mindful techniques, meditation, exercise, journaling, all right? If you don't have to get, I would love to say everybody should get a pen, but I still use a pen and paper, get a journal, and just pour yourself there. You find out that when you're writing to yourself, for example, and then, oh, Miriam, is that you? Mm-hmm. And then you can look back at yourself and you're like, okay, and then begin to pick up personal tools. I'm not one of those coaches that would say, okay, this is what you do, but you have your inner wisdom. Tap into that inner wisdom. Why are we running away from our wisdom? Why do we? It is innate. There's nothing you can do about it. It's God gave it to you. Tap into it. Tap into your inner wisdom. And one of the ways that you can tap to that is just write it. Write it, read it back to yourself, and then understand that adaptability is a resilient powerhouse. You know, anything can come at you. How ready are you to adapt? You might have a story you've been telling yourself all your life. Okay, the story is changing. Yeah. Okay, what are the things I'm bringing from the stories of my origin to the story that is presenting itself to me? Mm-hmm. How can I marry these two to birth a new Tumisha, a new Miriam, a new Wale, a new Shola, a new Kaide to the next level? Yeah.
Wow. Well, I feel like I'm in a session and I just don't want disturbances, you know, but
I know.
So you talked about mindful techniques, mm-hmm. but let's face it, sometimes or in some regions, people are either too busy to, you know, indulge themselves in things like this. Journal. There are people who are, you know, in transit from morning till night, you know, mm-hmm. trying to work to make ends meet. They don't want to skip any hour because there's no money, so they're trying to make up for, you know, the time. Mm-hmm. There's that. There are also people who, though not too busy, they're very distracted. Right. I would use myself as an example. Sometimes I've tried to journal, mm-hmm. but I get so distracted by my own thoughts. And I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. But one thing that works for me a lot of times, and this sounds really ridiculous, but I talk to myself.
Good.
So as opposed to writing it down, I feel like when I'm writing down, it takes time and I am getting distracted by so many thoughts. I just want to let it out. So I just start talking and express myself. Sometimes I rant and I realize that I feel better.
It.
Right. Because I was going to ask, what other measures?
Hit record. Okay, now, I will go first to the busyness. What makes it difficult for us is because we're busy. Nothing is going anywhere. Nothing, absolutely nothing is going anywhere. So there's this thing I curated: stop, breathe, notice, reflect, respond, and then resolve. It sounds, but when you get yourself into a situation, why is the situation triggering you? Stop. Breathe through it. Okay, this is why. I found out why. Notice the things within that event that is making it trigger, be a trigger. Reflect on where and why it's triggering you. When was the first time that happened? And then resolve. Yeah. It's something I do. Like I get into, okay, when we got in here, I know I don't like makeup, for example. Like I don't like to make up. And in that short space of time in the green room, I was like, okay, Tumshe, why don't you? You're here to serve. You're here to serve. You're here to, and I kept telling myself that. You're here to serve. That's being mindful. I told myself, the reason I allow this makeup is because I'm going out there to serve someone. Even if it's just one person, that's fine. I've fulfilled a part of my purpose. Okay, so a lot of people think, and I'm glad that you said it, that meditation is about emptying the mind. No. It's about allowing the thoughts to go through, pick them, drop them, pick them, drop them until you can focus on one. And that's why you will hear if you've been in guided meditations, and I see people come to my side like, we're doing guided meditation, like, oh, because I'm like, yeah, if your mind is busy, take a pen and write it. Just do it. And then before you know what is happening, you're finding yourself in that place. So for example, just if your mind is quite busy and there's something, and I'm going to use you now, and that's because she told me your mind is busy.
Please go ahead, go ahead.
That's because for example, when your mind is shouting, there's one that is shouting the loudest. That is what your soul needs at a time. Attend to it.
Right.
Attend to it. Talk to that particular one. If it is gratitude, if it is, just talk to it without judgment. What kills us the most here is judgment. We're judging ourselves. Oh, Miriam, you should be better than that. She should have known better. Guess what? You only acted with the capacity that you had now. So why are you judging? Now that you know better, you should do and will do better.
Yeah. Okay, I know. I know. No, it's fine. Don't fix it. Yeah, so I know we're still talking about change, but I can't help but we've gotten to, I feel like I'm in class right now, guys. So we have gotten into this, and you have said that it's about allowing the thought to sieve through, you know. But so what is the aim if at the end of the day there's no solution? I give an example. What you said, I think the way I do it sometimes, I realize that there's one thing disturbing me the most. So most times I get in my car and I'm like, I'm mad about something, but I don't know what it is. Blessings, what's stressing you? And then I finally, narrow it down to something. I'm like, oh, this is why I'm angry.
That's meditation.
Yeah, but sometimes the reason I'm angry is not something I can control. So how do I get myself to a point where I've realized what is getting me mad, but there's no solution, but I've just, what is the resolve?
Let me borrow from Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. It says the 4 agreements of life is be impeccable with your words, do not take anything personally, do not make assumptions, and always do your best. In this case, it's assumption. It's assumptions that make you feel like, okay, nah, let it go. Let it go is, trust me, is one of those things that wrong, like, let it go, is it that easy? Come on, But the truth also is the moment you understand that whatever it is that is happening is not about you, who hurt you, that bus driver, that thing that happened at the office, that thing that happened when you were sleeping, the moment you understand that it is out of your control and you may or may not get resolution, the greatest concern, and this is also going for change, especially for those who have jackpot and who are thinking of jackpotting. The first thing I would say is have healthy expectations of yourself, of the people you're going to meet, and whatever changes, have healthy expectations. Dream big, fine. But let your expectations of each of these steps in the process be very, very healthy. And tell yourself that, okay, if I don't do it now, I'll do it later. I'll give you an example. I don't know how to write goals. Coming from a coach here, it's fine. I didn't know how to, because I felt like, because I'm a mindful person, I know for a fact that things would happen, life would happen, a curveball would come. And again, I'm a process person, mere perfectionist. If I write a goal and I say 10th of January,
Wahala.
You know, so I learned question thinking from Mary. Just ask yourself the questions. I can't remember her name, but question thinking. Just ask yourself certain questions. Give yourself time limit, but also tell yourself that if this doesn't happen on January 10, it will happen because I'm still working at it. Life happened, it slowed me down. Doesn't mean that you should cut yourself some slack. It means that you should work hard. But if it doesn't happen, be ready to forgive yourself and move on. So adaptability, getting to the point where you let yourself understand that you're impeccable to yourself, you don't take anything personally, but it does to you, or you do to yourself. You know, you don't make assumptions. And the fourth one that ties everything together, of course, is doing your best at every time. Do your best. Forgive yourself. All right, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. It's hard to do. Forgive yourself. And then one thing I would say though is that give yourself a target of 30 days. If you want to start something, especially when you've seen that the change has come. Yeah. Okay. Oh, 30 days. How do I? 30 minutes for 30 days, I'll sit with this thing. What is it teaching me? What is upsetting me? Why are we afraid of the work though? Because if somebody say, that's work, we have to make money, take us traffic. You know, right? I can't hear it. Yeah. But I know for a fact that when you sit down to do this exercise, it's going to make it easier for you to navigate because you are empowering yourself and tapping into your inner wisdom.
Wow. Okay. I feel like I'm being hypnotized into just letting go. I feel so light.
I almost feel like, you know, taking you through a guided meditation, but it's okay.
Okay, so very quickly, I would want us to touch a little on the whole Jackpot thing, because there are a lot of people who are battling loneliness. Yeah. You know, a lot of people go there and then they realize it's not all rosy. Yes, the education is good. Yes, maybe the economy is better, but my people are not here with me. There's nobody to talk to. Instagram is not enough. WhatsApp is not enough. What do? I'm lonely. How would you advise such a person to go about things?
First things first, let's start, Miriam, from the fact that we have a silent culture. We grew up with a silent culture. The people who are supposed to be your teammates, you have not told them before you left. You get there, and you're like, I need a friend now. And these teammates of yours, your tribe people that you have not told, that you tell them, that's base one. Right? That's base one. Base two is expectations. People travel and think that, I don't know, maybe they think money is on the ground, or they think they're gonna get, or they think, or they think that employment is just gonna come this way, and then the reality hits. And you begin to think that, yes, Nigeria is not working, or I don't like to say that, so this is just part of my post-professor. I don't like to say Nigeria is not working, but for the sake of this conversation, you know, yeah, Nigeria is not working, but now when you find yourself in that place, one, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, yeah? Two, begin to build your own tribe. You cannot build, I don't know, I think it was Maya Angelou who said some people are letters and some are sentences. Old friends are letters that you used to form, whatever the anecdote is, where you get it. Yeah. You know, begin to build your own tribe in your new place. But remember also that you will have culture shocks. Embrace it. Why in Rome, Canada, Japan, whatever? Embrace the change. Embrace it, because for most of my friends who've jackpot, and it's always been about the culture shock. And I'm not talking about whether you should kneel down and greet someone or no. Yeah. I'm talking about even things as mundane as food. Things as mundane as you wake up and you just see somebody running and you're like, what's going on? It is going to take a complete neuroplasticity plasticity rewiring. You know, allow yourself. Don't think it's going to happen in a year, in 2 years. You uprooted a 20-year-old. You uprooted a 25-year-old. You uprooted a 45-year-old from a culture into another. Oh, come on. It's going, so the first thing first, like first time I was in the UK, I was inside train. You don't say small. I was inside train and this mother and daughter comes in and the daughter goes, shut up. Sorry, I was like this on my, like,
what did I just hear?
Like, you know, my friend who's Yoruba sat beside me and said, all right, sit down. Calm down, you know? So you will see things like this. And in that culture, I cannot show expression.
Yeah.
Because that is the mother's business. That's,
exactly.
You know? However, my friend, she's Yoruba. She's with her daughter when we are in the supermarket, and the daughter is misbehaving, and she's smiling. You know, and they're both smiling.
Right.
So you will adapt your reality again, your story of origin with a story that you're trying to recreate.
Right. Okay. I would have loved for this to continue. Trust me. If anybody's enjoying this, it will be me, Oluwatimi Shola-Dokwakuku, author and mental health coach. Thank you so much. I'm sure that those watching have learned, but I'm certain that I've learned something, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, the power in me bows to the power in me.
I know. I know is that a coach
Namaste.
thing? Okay, namaste. All right, well, you're still watching Fafano Africa, and we just talked about how to deal with change. And it's not just a Jackpot thing. Everything changes around us. So we all needed this information, and I'm glad that she was able to deliver. Of course, she's a coach. That's what she does. But when we come back, we're definitely going to be looking into our creativity series, and then we're going to be looking at it this time from the lenses of a visual artist. Again, you don't want to miss it, so stay with us. Welcome back to Fafanua, and our discussion continues on the importance of creativity for the youths in this generation. Now, creativity is not only a valuable skill, but also an essential aspect of personal and professional development. In a world that is constantly evolving and seeking new innovations, nurturing creativity in youths is more important than ever. From visual arts to music to literature and beyond, creativity knows no bounds and has the power to inspire and drive positive change. So let's dive into a conversation about the role of creativity in shaping the future and the impact that it has on the lives of the young people today. We want to shine the spotlight on our guests now. I sat down with Clark Torisheju Favor, aka Toju Clark, an graffiti artist who gave me an insight into his style of art and what inspired it. Enjoy. Joining us to have this conversation on creativity is none other than a visual artist for excellence. And I'm talking about Clark Torisheju Favor. He is also known as Toju Clark. He's a visual artist in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Clark, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
I like your name, first of all, to start with.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so visual artistry. Give me a brief understanding of what brought you into visual artistry in the first place.
Okay, so starting off, my dad was a painter, was a visual artist. So having been around him while growing up, I wanted to do more. I wanted to be like him. And so after he died, I mean, the focus just like came. And then I decided this is what I wanted to do. So it all started in 2004. And then the interest kept on building. And then in 2017, I decided to take it up professionally.
That's beautiful to know. Okay, we're talking about creativity. We've been on a creativity series for a while now, and I want to know what you feel, what your perspective is about the term creativity, especially in the 21st century, where youth are trying to find their path. Youth are trying to harness their God-given talents. What do you think about creativity and youths in general?
Basically, I feel like for everyone who wants to go into the creative space, you need to be able to stand out with something. And that's like the unique selling point if you're going to enter the market, whichever industry you find yourself in. So I feel like for anyone to find their voice, you need to find that unique selling point first. what are you offering? What value do you want to bring? What value do you want to give people? And that's where creativity lies in. So if, for instance, for me, for instance, I'm not just an artist, I'm an ex-graffiti artist. So in that space,
What's that about though?
so basically, I scratch on canvas. So instead of me painting like every other artist, after painting, I scratch off the paint off.
Oh.
So it's like drawing in reverse. So every artist would want to put their pencil on paper. And then while putting your pencil on paper, you are most likely drawing from dark to light, whereby highlighting the highlights and everything.
Yeah.
But I went the other way. So instead of me drawing from dark to light, I draw from light to dark.
Wow.
So I paint, let's take for instance, I'm painting the wall black. The wall is initially white. If I paint it black, I would now etch on it, like scratch off the black paint, and then the highlights, the color that is underneath the paint would reveal the highlights of whatever image I want anybody to see.
I see. So in terms of appreciation now, I mean, as graffiti artistry is not something that is common for a lot of people. You know, we're just used to the, pen on paper, pencil on paper, but now you're basically doing the opposite. So in terms of appreciation, do you think that in this part of the world, right, on the continent, Africa, and even Nigeria, enough people know about you to appreciate what you do? Or do you get a lot of, what is this? What are you doing?
Okay, so because it's a very unique style of art, it is not broadly known. So it takes time. And over time, when I first started, it was very difficult because, I mean, people did not like the fact that I wasn't using enough colors. Like in my work, it was just basically black, and then probably another color entirely. But over time, when I started infusing colors into my work, it kind of like drew more attention to it. So right now, I'm only exploring all the options I have with it. But then I just keep on doing and then doing it.
So do you think that people's perspective of your artistry influences your level of creativity in the sense that, you didn't used to add a lot of colors to your work, but then people didn't understand that. And then you see that now that you're adding a little bit of color, people appreciate it more. So will you now gravitate more towards using more colors because people like it, or just doing you and then allowing people to get used to it?
Okay, so I'm a very stubborn artist. So I usually do not like to be told what to do. And that's the main reason why I decided to study art, because it's a free world where you tend to express yourself however and however you want to. So I tend to want to do me in most cases and in most case scenario, and I don't care. So as long as I'm trying as much as possible to express myself, I've been able to gain that attraction to my craft, and I've been able to also add value to it as well. So yes, that's helped me.
We've seen how a lot of people feel like, when you're doing something, it's all rosy for you, you're doing what you love and all that. But what people don't see a lot of times is the challenges that come with it. So in your line of work, in art, in this artistry journey that you're on generally, have there been major challenges that you've experienced, maybe in terms of people appreciating your work, or creativity block or anything like that? Have you had any major challenges?
Yes, there are a lot of challenges as an artist, and that's why we are all artists. We tend to provide solutions to all of these things. But there's numerous challenges, but I'm just going to highlight a few. The first one is funding. As an artist, when you start up, you most likely find it difficult to get funding. Not everyone might buy into your idea, and it's left to the artist to decide on how he or she wants to go about it. I'll use myself as an example. So in like a few years back, I knew for a fact that I wanted to be an artist. But I knew for a fact that in Nigeria, you have to be able to not put all your eggs in one basket, because the country isn't, like, economically wise, it's not favorable to anyone who decides to want to be an artist. So I decided that I would instead study graphic design, and while doing whatever menial jobs I could do, I'll be able to use the funds to fund my craft. And I did that over time. I did that for like a few years, and then I decided that, you know what, I want to just be a full-time artist. And that's one, that's funding. Secondly, it's you being able to stand out in the outside world. So let's take, for instance, you want to apply for a visa. They would most likely not rate you because you would find it very difficult to even get a visa application if you do not have enough resources. So that's another challenge as well, because as an artist, you would have the freedom to move around, but you're also restricted as a Nigerian, because your passport cannot really take you places. I think another one is residency opportunities, because as an emerging artist, not everyone will buy into your idea. And you know for a fact that you have to be able to find the network and the connections that you need. So I feel like if, for anyone watching this, if you're able to find the connection and the network, you will be fine. So I think anyone watching this should understand that finding a network first would help you push your career to whatever heights you want to.
Okay, I was going to go to that. So I think since you already hinted at that, I'm just going to ask, like, if you were to advise young, and upcoming artists who want to do what you're doing now, but they don't exactly feel motivated because of the situation surrounding it, what would you say to them?
It takes courage to want to stand out. And as long as you have that mindset and that determination, I feel like they should stick to it. And as long as you're determined, like me. So if you're determined
I like
me,
that.
I mean, you'd, regardless of whatever obstacle that comes your way. I'll give you an example. So I have this mentality that if I approach someone for something and I'm not being heard, it doesn't mean that someone else won't hear me if I speak. And if I get a no, I'll most likely gingers me to want to like move on to the next person. So I don't take no for an answer. And if at all like I get a no, it doesn't bring me down. It doesn't bring my morale down. It's more or less like an encouragement to, you know, keep on pushing. There's someone out there. This is not the person for you. There's someone else there for you. So that's all I can say.
I think I would like to repeat what he said about if one person doesn't hear you, it doesn't mean that other people won't hear you. It's very important for the youth to know that, because sometimes when you get a no from one person, you just get discouraged and you want to stop. But you also did talk about funding, and I think that's going to bring me to asking, in terms of recognition or acknowledgement of, you know, art in Africa, or let's even narrow it down to Nigeria, how do you think the government is doing? Do you think that they're paying enough attention to art generally now in Nigeria, and especially the youth like you who are doing it? Are there any, you know, is there any support from the government, so to say?
I will say this because I've been privileged to go out of the country to see things. And I feel like there's a whole lot to be done. And on an average, I think the government is trying. They're trying their best, because I know for a fact that they started the renovation of, I think, the National Theatre, and they started putting some things in place to be able to push the art world here in the country. And yes, to an extent, but they should do better, I beg, please.
I like the I beg, please.
They should do better.
They can do better. Now, so many people would want to ask, like, how important is art in the scheme of things? Like, what is even art for? Can you tell us the power that art carries, you know, in terms of unifying, in terms of representation of imagination? How important would you say art is in our society, in our daily life?
Okay, so art is in everything we do, practically everything we do. But you wouldn't see it until you sit down and someone probably tells you that this is it. So I'll take for instance, in architecture, it's also part of art. I mean, what you're doing, it's part of art.
Everything is art.
Speaking is art. You know, writing is art. So it doesn't. I need people to understand that art is not just about drawing. It's about creating. It's about content creation is also art too, as well. You know, so it is a very broad space. And for a matter of fact, it is very important in the society. So you just need to find your niche and then find your voice. And if you're able to communicate that to people, that's fine. You also need to be able to add value with whatever you're doing. So I think the present society where we're in right now is that, and the problem we have right now is the fact that a lot of youths coming out of school do not focus on creating value. They focus on going out there to seek for jobs.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the major problem we're having right now in Nigeria. Because if we have a productive mindset
And entrepreneurial spirit.
and entrepreneurial spirit, we will know that, oh, you're coming out there to give to the society and not just take.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the unemployment rate is really, really increasing. So if you know you have like a talent, it could be cooking. Cooking is art. Like this, there are lots of chefs and I've been able to make one even in Ivory Coast, you know. So you could have a career in cooking, in your hobby. Sport is also part of arts as well. So it's a very broad space. You just need to pick one niche and then focus on it.
Exactly. And speaking of broad spaces, you talked about content. You did mention content creation in passing, and I want us to bring that back. How would you say that social media has helped? Because, like it or not, we're in a digital age, right? So, you know, sometime before now, people wouldn't even know what
S-graffito
help me.
is.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
S-graffito.
Is, you know, so many people won't even know what art entails. But now, thanks to social media, we are seeing pictures, we're seeing your works, we're seeing, you know, things that you're doing, and for a lot of people, that's a way of, you know, publicizing their work. That's the platform that they need. So, how helpful would you say that social media has been for you, for your art in general?
Okay, so I'll have to take you back. I think in 2002, that was when the phone thing came into, like internet came into Nigeria. And I can tell you for a fact that for my dad, it was extremely difficult because I could remember when he would take his paintings around. If he's going to Ghana, for instance, he would have to roll his paintings up in the tube and then take it to Ghana just to have his show.
Yeah.
And the thing about art and creation is the fact that people will not be able to enjoy what you create except if they see it one-on-one. But with the use of internet, you could see the world.
Yeah.
You know, so I think for me, it is a very good thing, and it has been able to help we in this present generation to be able to upskill and then move faster in life. I also know for a fact that Instagram, for instance, it has helped me in some kind of way pushing my craft. We have Twitter too as well. We have YouTube where there are tons of ideas. So it has played a vital role in this present generation. And I think, yes, for anyone who wants to be able to break bounds, should make use of the internet and whatever social media space they find themselves in. Right. Facebook started, I know there are lots of people on Facebook other than Instagram and Twitter because I started with Facebook. But I don't use Facebook like that anymore.
Yeah, I don't even have Facebook anymore.
Exactly. So there are lots of space out there to be able to put in your craft there. I think Twitter is also one of the fastest. X.
X. Formerly Twitter. X.
Yeah, formerly Twitter. So, you know, if you're good with all of these social media platforms, you'll be able to push your craft ahead.
Yeah.
And the world will be able to see what you're doing.
True. Now, another important phenomenon in this age and time is the concept of collaboration and partnership, right? That's why you see a lot of businesses, you know, hopping on the trends of using influencers, for example, to sell their market. You see different brands coming together to create magic, and then you see that they're making huge sales. So in your field, in art, is there an opportunity to collaborate and partner with other artists like yourself, you know, and what are the benefits of that?
Okay, collaboration goes a long way for any artist in my field, because at the end of the day, you tend to be able to penetrate into wherever you're collaborating with, their market space. You tend to be able to get clients from them. They also tend to be able to get clients from you. Also, the idea of what you want to create, both of you want to create, is also also very important.
Well, have you benefited though from partnerships?
Yes, I have. I've benefited from partnerships in different ways. I remember for a fact in 2020 during the pandemic, I was able to collaborate with. That was the first time I explored a graffiti on wall. I'd never scratched on wall before in my life. So I wanted to do it, and I knew for a fact that I needed to be able to get in the same space with a graffiti artist.
Yeah. All right, Toji Clark, this is the most we can take, but I really, really did enjoy this conversation. And I do know that some young folks out there who want to go into, say it again, S-graffiti?
S-graffito.
S-graffito artistry, or even artistry in general, would have benefited something, you know, from what you said. And I really, what you said was spot on about, you know, you selling your idea to one person and not stopping at it. Yeah. You know, you have to believe in yourself, first of all. Thank you so much, Toji Clark, for joining us. And of course, I'm sure you're seeing his works out there, so do also follow him. He's an amazing artist. This is where we draw the curtain on for Final Africa. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a beautiful episode from the first segment to this. And of course, do well to join us in our subsequent episodes as we discuss issues that affect the African youth. And of course, we're still on our creativity series, so watch out for Who Next. I'm Blessings Mosugu, and it has been the Final Africa.